Welcome to Was I in a Cult Part 41. I'm not sure what happened to the last video, but music started playing over it, so I have to redo it. Quick recap, I was drugged by medical staff at a hospital in Colorado. When I say I was drugged, I mean that quite literally. I was falsely accused by church leaders of using drugs, so they took me to the hospital to get a drug test. But instead of drug testing me, they drugged me. If you happen to miss that part of the story, please go back and watch episode 39. Basically, hospital staff came in and brought a syringe, and I asked what was in the syringe. They said, nothing, it's just part of the test. And I said, no, it looks like there's something in that syringe. And instead, she grabbed my arm and poked me so fast that I didn't even get a chance to stop her. I was clearly refusing getting a shot of anything. I even told the nurse, I am here for a drug test. It looks like you have something in your syringe. And she denied that she did. Slowly after that, I got completely dizzy and passed out somewhere in that room after I was trying to get out, because I remember knocking on the door and trying to get out, and then I suddenly started feeling woozy. Not sure what happened after that. I ended up being rolled down a hallway when I came to, not knowing where I was or how I got there. Whatever medication they gave me was so strong that I couldn't read the paperwork that they asked me to sign at that point, and I was literally just seeing blurry letters on a piece of paper, and I refused to sign. And because I refused to sign, they drugged me again. Then I woke up the next day in a room, again, not knowing how I got there or where I was even. And I had different clothes on than what I came in the hospital with, and I don't know how the clothes got on my body. So I'm sitting on the bed, I'm looking around, and I'm like, okay, there's 2 beds in here, there's nobody else in that bed. And I'm like, is there a bathroom here? So I get up because I have to use the bathroom. I find the bathroom, go to the bathroom, come out, and then I'm like, is the door locked or is it unlocked? And I go and I open it and it's unlocked, and I end up in a room with a bunch of people. I don't know who they are or where I'm at. So I see what looks like a nurse station, so I walk over there to it, and I realize that they're the ones that are in charge of the room, and I'm like, hi, where am I? And one lady says abruptly to me, you're in the drug rehabilitation unit of a certain hospital. And I'm not going to say the name of the hospital because honestly, the drugs were so strong that I don't even remember at this point. I don't remember. I just know it was a hospital in Denver, Colorado. So I don't want to give the name because I don't want to give the wrong name accidentally until I know specifically what hospital it was. At one point in time, I contacted a couple of hospitals that I remember that I thought I was at, and both of them denied having any records of me at all. And that was like maybe 20 years after the fact, so maybe the records are gone. But for some reason, I can't find any records. I can't find any medical history of anything for myself. How convenient, right? I called several places. I called some other places as well, and nobody has any medical records. But those 3 words, drug rehabilitation unit, stuck in my head. And I thought to myself, what is happening? I remember telling the lady, look, there's some kind of mistake or misunderstanding here because I was not on drugs when I came here. And she was like, yeah, that's what everyone says. I was like, no, really, I seriously came here for a drug test because my church was falsely accusing me of using drugs when it was literally just my medication for allergies and for asthma. And she was like, ma'am, are we gonna have a problem? I said, no, I'm not causing a problem. I just want to talk to someone. Like, can I call my grandparents? I need to talk to someone. And they're like, there's a phone over there, there's a public phone, but I wasn't able to call long distance, and I was in Colorado and my grandparents were in California, so I could not reach them. I said, well, I wanted to talk to my grandparents, and they're in another state, and they're like, well, we're sorry, there's no long distance phone calls. At the time I was 20 years old, so I was considered an adult that didn't need my parents' consent for anything. They just needed my consent. However, they were not listening to anything I wanted or didn't want. In fact, what I believe happened was that they kept me as long as my insurance company would pay. They didn't contact my parents. They contacted my insurance company and found out what insurance I had, and according to that is how long they kept me in that unit. So I continued to be persistent at the front desk, wanting to leave and stating that I had patients' rights and that I wanted to have a copy of my patients' rights. And as soon as I did that and mentioned anything about patient rights, they ended up calling security and having me placed in a solitary confinement area, which was very like the prison one that I went to when I went to prison ministry. I went to a place called ADSEG, where it was the whole known as lockdown to prisoners and inmates that were basically inside of a solitary confinement area. It was very similar to that. It had like one small little tiny window about the size of my face, and that was it. It was like also too high that I couldn't see out of it. Like I wasn't tall enough to see out of that window, so I literally was just in a little tiny cell with literally no contact. And I remember like banging on the door, because when they put me there, they had walked me down. It was like maybe 4 men took me down, and then they did like their basic takedown that they do, and they shot me up with some more drugs of some sort. I'm not even sure what it was at the time, and like left me in this isolation room. And then I of course passed out eventually, and when I came to, I'm in this little isolation room and I don't know where I'm at, and I'm freaking out, and I can't open the door, and I'm like, when do I get to eat or use the bathroom, because there was no restroom in there at all. And I'm like, at least in ADSEG they had a restroom, like a place to go to the bathroom. There was no toilet in there, and I didn't know what to do. And I remember just banging on the thing because I had to go to the bathroom real bad. And I don't know if they came and got me and shot me up again or what happened, because I don't even remember how I got out of that room. Another time I got stuck in that same type of room was when they called medications. They call out meds at a certain time every day, and everyone kind of flocks to the desk and gets their medications. And I didn't think I needed any medication, so I'm just like, I'm fine, I'll pass on that. And I remember the staff coming to me and saying, you need to take your medication, and I said, no, it's fine, I don't need it. And then they're like, what? And I was like, I remember that I had been given at some point in time some kind of paper that said what my patient's rights were because I asked for them. And I was like, it says that I have the right to refuse medication, and it says that I have the right to leave when I want, and I want to leave and I don't want medication. And they're like, you don't? Okay, so you're not willing to take the medication. And I said, no, I don't need the medication, because I came in here, again, I'm telling my story and nobody's listening to me. And I said, I came in here because I was told that I was getting a drug test and I was not on drugs, and you guys have put me on drugs, so that's why I don't want to take more drugs. So then security came and got me again and locked me up in a room. I only remember about 2 days of the 2 weeks that I was there. I may or may not have been asleep the entire time. I felt like I was never going to get out of there. It was so scary. At some point in time, I met this one lady and I said, oh my gosh, like, how do you get out of this place? And she was like, you just need to work your program. And I'm like, work my program? And she's like, yeah, you need to go to meetings. And I'm like, what kind of meetings? She's like, AA and NA meetings. And I'm like, NA meetings? I'm like, I'm not a drug addict. She's like, that's what everyone says. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Nobody believes me. I was not on drugs until I got to that facility. This was all just a scam to make money. I'm out of time. More later.